As the season 37 finale swiftly approaches, the final 7 castaways of Survivor, David vs. Goliath, have officially shed their tribal designations. No longer is there a group of piddly Davids or a collection of gargantuan Goliaths, but instead 7 individual players who are willing to turn on each other to win the $1 million prize. This week's episode found Nick Wilson, Christian Habitsky, Davey Rickenbacker, Allison Raybould, Mike White, Angelina Keeley and Kara Kay in full scramble mode. Did they go after a big threat to keep them from making it to the end? Or did they eliminate a floater who didn't deserve their lofty position in the game? Below, check out our minute-by-minute Survivor recap of Season 37, Episode 13, titled, Are You Feeling Lucky?, to find out what happened Wednesday, December 12th at 8/7 C. Then be sure to sound off in the comments section about your favorite castaways on CBS's reality TV show, who annoys you the most, and who you think will ultimately join the Survivor winners list. Keep refreshing, reloading this live blog for the most recent updates. 8 p.m. Previously on Survivor. During last week's 12th episode, Gabby Pascuzzi made the deadly decision of trying to eliminate her closest ally, Christian, because he was also her biggest threat. Unfortunately, Davey told Christian the plan in advance and he used his hidden immunity idol to keep himself in the game, sending home Gabby. Only 7 players remain on the island. Who will be voted out tonight? 8:01 p.m. Even though he saved himself with the idol, Christian is aware that the 5 votes thrown in his direction last week means he remains a huge target in the game. The use of the idol meant that the Davids once again sought out a new idol they assumed would be put back in the game. Smartly, Nick hid a fake idol and then found it himself while in the company of Angelina, Mike and Christian, all of whom believed it. Davey, however, was suspicious of it and continued to look for the new idol anyway. 8:04 p.m. After failing to find the idol on his own, Davey figured that if Nick does in fact have 2 idols, that now is the time to blindside him. To do so, he approached Christian with the idea, who of course was all for it after Nick turned against him with Gabby at the previous tribal council. 8:05 p.m. To win a helicopter and surf. Davey got off to a huge lead, but failed to give himself a big enough lead on his rope to collect all his sandbags, and so Nick and Kara were able to make up some ground. By the time Davey was down to just 1 block, he was in a good enough groove to pull through with the victory. As part of his reward, he got to choose 2 other people to join him. He based his decision on past relationships, and so he chose Nick and Kara, even after Angelina asked him to choose her because of her sacrifice to secure more rice for the tribe a few weeks ago. 8:15 p.m. Back at camp, Angelina wasn't shy about letting everyone know how angry she was that Davey didn't take her on the reward. She continued to play the card of getting rice for the tribe while also telling everyone that she really didn't want to play that card. Can't wait to see how Angelina's wrath is going to unfold later in the episode. 8:16 p.m. Meanwhile at the reward, Davey managed to get some time alone with Kara in order to tell her about Nick's possible 2 idols. Together they fashioned a plan to target him along with Allison and Christian at the next tribal. Once again, Kara was in the right place at the right time to get in on the potential blind side of someone she already wanted out of the game. When she returned to camp, she let Allison know about the plan, who was ecstatic to learn that someone besides her was the target. But despite Kara telling Allison not to tell Mike or Angelina, Allison went straight to Mike to tell him in order to gain trust with Mike for herself. Not surprisingly, perpetual fence rider Mike was torn over whether he'd use the information to help get Nick out or to save him. Womp womp. 8:23 p.m. The next morning, Davey went on yet another search for the new idol, and sure enough he found what turned out to be a clue to an advantage. Using the clue to return to the spot of the merge feast where he found an immunity idol with a twist. In front of him was a table of 4 urns. His idol was only good for 1 vote as is. If he chose to, he could open one of the two urns in the first row. One urn would extend the life of his idol by one tribal and the other urn would sacrifice his vote at the next tribal. He could repeat that gamble again if he chose to. However, Davy decided that he did not want to wager his vote and instead took the idol with only one chance to use it at the next tribal. 8:27 p.m. For the immunity challenge, they had to stand on a narrow perch while balancing a ball on a disc. Last one still on the perch with their ball on their disc wins. Through the first phase of the competition, everyone remained, and so Jeff added a second ball to balance. In the second phase, Kara and Angelina both dropped out in quick succession, followed by Davy and Christian, leaving only 3 in the hunt for immunity. 8:32 p.m. And then just a few minutes before the second phase ended, Nick dropped a ball and was eliminated, sending Allison and Mike to the final round of the challenge and having to balance 3 balls on their disc at once. Despite getting into a precarious situation with his 3 balls on the edge of his disc, Mike held on just as Allison lost control and dropped her balls. That means Mike won his first individual immunity of the season. 8:38 p.m. Following the immunity challenge, Nick was changing his tune about targeting Christian. Because Allison got so close to winning immunity, he set his sights on taking out Allison in order to take out a threat as well as evening the numbers between Davids and Goliaths. Both Mike and Kara told Nick and Angelina that they were prepared to vote Allison out with them. But Kara still wanted to blindside Nick and Mike was angling to take out Christian instead. 8:40 p.m. With safety for himself, Mike set out on a scramble campaign telling literally everyone that it was time to get Christian out. He thought that people would listen to him, but clearly they weren't prepared to. Elsewhere, Nick confessed to Davy that his second idol was fake and so Davy no longer wanted to take him out and instead could focus on Allison with Nick. Mike was desperate to get Nick on his side against Christian and so he told him that Davy was gunning for him. At one point this was true, and Mike only knew about it because Allison told him, in order to break up the bond between Nick, Davy and Christian. 8:48 p.m. At Tribal Council, the question of loyalty came up with everyone debating on what terms other people in the game are trustworthy. For Christian the answer came down to, who will work with me, and for Allison and Davy the game is so fluid that everyone is only trusting each other long enough to last one vote. The concept of threats also came up, opening the door for Allison to admit that she is still a threat in the game. Christian also felt like a threat and even pointed out that he has 15 votes against him throughout the game, noting that the Survivor record is 19, held by Laura Morid in Season 27, Blood vs. Water. 8:54 p.m. Knowing that tonight was the only night he could use his idol, Davy played it on himself and nullified any votes against him. That prompted Nick to play his fake idol in order to get a read on everyone's reactions and then played his real one to nullify votes against himself. Jeff read the votes: Davy, Davy, Allison, Christian, Allison, Christian, Christian. Wow, 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 wow. Can't believe it. Nick wasted his idol and put a huge target on his back, and Mike finally managed to get Christian out of the game, and prevented him from beating Laura's record with only 18 votes cast against him in total. Womp womp. 8:59 p.m. It turns out the votes against Christian came from Kara, Angelina and Nick. It amazes me how quickly the alliance between Nick and Christian was dismantled and that Nick was ultimately the one that brought him down. My guess is that Mike and Allison's votes against Davy were part of the plan, made in case an idol was played for Christian. That would, theoretically, leave Davy as the odd man out as we head into the Final 6 finale next week, but based on the previews it looks like Allison and even Angelina may be in hot water first. Here are the answers to Gold Derby's contest questions for Survivor 37, Episode 13, who will be eliminated? Christian Hubitsky, who will win reward? Davy Rickenbacker, who will win immunity? Mike White, will a hidden idol be played? Yes. Will anybody quit or be medevaced? No. Will there be a kiss? No. Will there be any rain? Yes. See exclusive predictions. Who will win Survivor? Be sure to make your predictions to influence our reality TV racetrack odds. You can keep changing your predictions until just before the next live episode airs on CBS. You'll compete to win a spot on our leaderboard and eternal bragging rights. See our contest rules and sound off with other fans in our reality TV forum. Read more Gold Derby entertainment news.